Today we're going to talk about the different types of characters and the roles that they fulfill. These are the changes that I'm going to want to see out of Apex Legends. Now, this came up while me and my buddy were thinking about D&D classes, right? We were thinking like, okay, what's the effective change of this class? You can make it so, okay, well, I want to be a healer. So how do you do that? How do you focus on this? I don't think the cast of the people who designed Apex Legends really thought it through. So it's going to be one of those things. I want to dive into what being a support, an assault class, a defensive class, and I want to talk about what each of those characters fulfill, what they fail on, and what we want to see in the future. Okay, so feel free to clip any of this that you want. We're going to post a couple of key points on TikTok as well, and you guys have been here for it. You plan on getting a co-host or a guest? Oh, of course. I plan not getting a co-host because a co-host is very different. You need to have a co-host for someone if you don't have the voice, the panache, right? Because it keeps the viewer entertained. If you invite a co-host, though, you have to be careful. You're inviting someone who thinks like you. I have a lot of buddies that I really enjoy, you know, but at the same time, they don't really think the same way I do, whether it be the end of the day or not. Keep touching my face because it's itchy. It's all that meth. So one day I'll have a beard as marvelous as Glock's. Bro, what is that gonna be, tomorrow? It should took like no time to grow. Just be a gross homeless guy on the side of Brooklyn, you know, and it'll be fine. Do you mind the curve y'all getting facial hair? What up, AK Majim? We're doing the podcast today. So let's dive right in. So let's go ahead. We're gonna hop in here. And we're actually just going to look at the Legend Select screen for a while, because when we talk about each individual character, I'm going to want to make sure that you guys know exactly what we're talking about. So let's see here. Right now, I have it just so I can see myself and I understand where my gestures are, because I over gesture a lot. Now I've got the pink set up behind me because I think it looks pretty. So I want to talk about the Assault class. It's the simplest class because everybody understands the W key. And the first topic, just so everybody's on the same page, is understanding what I want to see out of the next coming changes for the best gaming experience in Apex Legends. This is going to be talking about what we see in changes to support class, to Recon class. What does it actually mean to be a Recon character? What does it actually mean to be an Assault character? So I have a couple of like niche ideas that I want to float out to you guys with. So let's talk about Recon characters. These have been under insane scrutiny because of a couple reasons. The first one I call the Bloodhound effect. I do not believe Bloodhound is good for this game. In the current state that it's at right now, you do not need to have game sense. And it becomes a crutch, and I'm going to use that word very heavily today. A crutch does not mean you can't play the game without it. It means that you're becoming dependent on it, such as the R301, Bloodhound scans, or Wraith phase out. Those are things that I think are huge crutches in the game. The Wraith phase out, you don't even have to plan your positioning. It used to be so bad you could just get out of any situation like, oh, over pushed, hits Q and you'd run out. That's up for debate. It's whatever you want it to be. You comment whatever you want. But we're talking about Recon class right now. So the Recon class, exactly, in Rev Totem for the double life. So Bloodhound specifically is hurting the game because of the amount of variability that they bring to the table. So they themselves, Bloodhound, fit all the roles of the Recon character. Every single role. There isn't a single role that they don't fit. When it comes to understanding game sense, you can just hit Q when you enter a POI, and it's large enough that if they're a problem, they'll be in that scan. I want you guys to think about, let's just pull up a simple one. Lucky, thank you so much for the 10 tier 1 subs, brother. Oh my gosh. We're gonna go ahead and mute it just so that way we can keep it simple, keep it calm. You're amazing. Thank you so much for helping me get through this. So let's go to Bloodhound scan. On a what, 26-second cooldown? What's the cooldown here? Does it tell us? So here, we'll go ahead and pull that up just so you guys see everything. So the passive, it's very underwhelming, but it fits its own role. You can actually track down rats. Pretty cool, right? SEER does the same thing, but with a visual sense. So it's cool because they kind of share a Venn diagram. Now the Eye of the Allfather needs to be changed because of the amount of lack of counterplay to this. You can't hide from it. You can't get away from it. You just have to be on the edge of it, right? Like, let's say you're in a building and Bloodhound can scan the entire building. That is huge. You know exactly where they are. You can see the silhouettes. You know exactly what characters they are. And there's no downside to it. It's like, okay, you've invested 20 seconds. That's totally fine. In a ranked setting, you're not going to push it if it looks like a scary one. You even see traps with it. So Bloodhound is the S tier recon character. Fits every map. Now Valkyrie, I'm not putting at S tier because she doesn't fit every single map. She fits World's Edge really well because of the insane amount of chokes, right? And there's no other way to get around it. But on Olympus, there's tridents, there's portals, there's literal jump towers that fly you over almost every choke point. It's different. When it comes to King's Canyon, it's pretty good. She's pretty good. I would say she's stronger on those two maps, King's Canyon and World's Edge, rather than Olympus. But the fact that it changes that way, and Wholesome, we'll do the Wholesome challenge here in a while, okay? We're gonna get through the podcast first. And so we're talking about Recon, and what I want to see change in the Recon class is I want to see these characters. I don't want to see every single character be able to hit the beacon. I would want only those that it fits thematically. Pathfinder Crypto Valkyrie. She flies up to those locations. He uses his drone, and he's literally just a robot. Like, he's literally just like a UAV that can walk. It would then give credit to Pathfinder Crypto Valkyrie. Right now, you just bubble the beacon, and you get scans, and you get the beacon. Like, there's no counterplay to it. And so there's no reason to play Pathfinder. There's no reason for someone to go onto a Playmaker. Now, we'll get into Pathfinder later because I have an idea for his thing. He's the forward scout, right? Like, that's his idea. That's his identity. Or sorry, it's identity. So we'll get to that. But that would help take Bloodhound a bit out of the meta. Because if you have the insane game sense in a fight and the insane game sense outside of a fight, the only, like, without even having to have your ultimate, because if Crypto could do that without needing his ultimate, if he had a passive, we would see a lot more Crypto. Like, if he could see the health pool that SEER sees with his drone, we would only see Crypto, right? Because you know what fights to take. But then, well, I want my wall hacks. Oh, well then let's play Bloodhound. Like, I value the wall hacks more than knowing what shield they have, because if I always assume they have purple shields, then the Bloodhound is better. So that creates a battle between these guys. And now with Pathfinder, like, let's look at view skills. Look at the passive. Scan a beacon to reduce the cooldown of the zipline gun. And I personally think as a forward scout, if Pathfinder had insane accuracy on ziplines, if only him, not the entire zipline gun, right? Not everyone on it. But if only Pathfinder had it, who would you want to go first on the zipline? You'd want Pathfinder to go first on the zipline, wouldn't you? Then it becomes an actual rotational tool. You put your shooter on the forward scout, the playmaker of the crew, people would scream, oh, that's OP. You couldn't control your movement though. While you have insane accuracy, you also still have to adjust for the depth of the target while you're also moving. Now at the highest tier, like let's put dropped and rogue on it, it'd be very strong, but at the same time, one Kraber shot, it's over. At the same time, 3 people peeking you when you do a bad zipline, you get peeked, it's over still. Because if you're zipline jumping, you're still not gonna have that accuracy. So if it takes like 30 seconds, half a second to warm up so you can't grapple bounce hook. So just say after like 0.5 seconds, you have insane accuracy on the grappling or on the zipline gun. That would put Pathfinder in a wonderful forward scout position. And then it creates what they already have it builds upon what character they're creating for the game, right? So that would put Bloodhound, Crypto, and Pathfinder in competitive spots. Now, what we're seeing for Valkyrie is her ultimate is on too low of a cooldown. I would want to see a change to her skyward dive. Now, I know you can't see it, but it says press once to prepare for launch. Teammates can interact with Valkyrie to join the launch. Press again to launch in the air and skydive. So when it comes to the point of being able to go through all those choke points, you could use it once per game, twice per game. Not this 4 or 5 garbage that we have. Now, I would argue it ultimate accelerants would be insane on Valkyrie, but look at the balancing for Gibraltar's ultimate, for Bangalore's ultimate at the beginning of the game. When these first came out, they were so obviously strong, right? That we just didn't even think, we were like, oh yeah, no, of course, those are gonna be insanely used and overutilized. Let's put them on a high cooldown. Then they became the charge towers. This also adds to some of the hate that comes from the charge towers. I was watching Jen Burton last night using it all the time. He would literally just fly around the map looking for third parties off of the charge towers. It was insanity. Now on World's Edge, on Olympus, we don't see that as much. Now in the ALGS, of course, we see the skyward dive because one good team holds a choke and it's over. So she still needs to be able to do that. She fits a very good niche. If you're scared of choke points, play Valkyrie. She would still be able to hit the scanning beacons. She'd be great for out of battle game sense, and her tactical allows you to be able to have a little bit of an in-game fight as well. And if you've noticed, every single one of the buffs or advantages and disadvantages we've been putting on these characters keeps them competitive in fights and out of fights. Competitive in fights and also out of fights. Gets that double zip line from the beacons, still utilizes the character, is a scout with the outward game sense, and a scout going first on the zip lines. It becomes beautiful. And then there become the metagame. Do you put Pathfinder on the backside? Do you put him on the front side? It'd be a lot of fun. Crypto is a surveillance expert. That means if you get put up the drone, you should be, if you are exceedingly good with the drone, like let's say, oh wow, I'm really good with Bangalore smokes, you get so much more utility out of it than a basic player. Right now, a basic player gets the same utility out of the drone. Very rarely do you even see a good crypto that knows where to hide their drone, right? So my 2 buffs for crypto would be see the health pool of the SEER character, you know, that kind of thing. Even if it's just highlighting the character a different color, right? Purple shields, your character is highlighted purple. Now, of course, for colorblind modes, they could just keep it the same. So instead of worrying about the color, they would just have that health bar. Be totally fine. And the other passive, we could call it Juggernaut moving, right? If he's not moving, he can't get scanned. If his drone is not moving, it gets an extra 60 health. Because if you set it up in a good spot to the point where you're saying, this is where I want it, and the enemy can shoot it, right now, in crypto's current state, you're getting punished for understanding what would be a good sightline. And they would still be able to take it out. So think about it. It's what, 4 or 5 bullets from the R3 as opposed to 10? It would still be very easily, and it's not moving when it does this. As soon as it moves, armor's gone. The reason we want that is because it couldn't die to a sentinel shot, it couldn't die to longbow, charge rifle, yada, yada, yada. And so you get the information, the utility out of it. You become a surveillance expert, and that's the goal of the character, right? Instead of 60 HP, what about a cloaking ability? No, it needs to have counterplay. And so the armor would give it counterplay, even for snipers, even for distance people. And so it would activate after like 2 or 3 seconds of immobility, right? Plus, then they would have to get rid of the sound as well, and there'd be no counterplay. If you had the sound, then it would be a useless passive. Everyone just say, oh, there's the sound. So that's why we're keeping there. For getting rid of visual clutter, but also counterplay ability and advanced tips. Imagine you put that in a tree while you're going in, you ult, you put it in a tree, As soon as they get ulted, they're trying to run, they're hide away. It's gaining armor, so you're getting out that scan. Be pretty great. So we've already gone over these 4 things, right? Bloodhound, Pathfinder, Crypto, Valkyrie. But do you see these simple changes are making, now of course with Valkyrie's nerf, where the ultimate gets nerfed, we would also have it go much higher. That's what I would want personally. If you can only use it so many times, you better be able to go way fucking farther. That's what I want to see out of Valkyrie. Bloodhound has his place. Pathfinder has his place. Crypto has his place. Sorry, their place. Valkyrie has her place. Now what about SEER? This person was one of the biggest controversial character releases of all time. Was so powerful, did so much damage, was so immutably S tier. You could not deny it. Thin hitbox, insane tactical, insane passive, and insane ultimate / timing of the ultimate. So instead of entirely reworking this character, what is one thing that would make this character better? I would just say revert his tactical, not the damage, not the flashbang, the speed. The speed, because right now it had 3 things to it. It was fast, it blinded you, it did damage. They took all 3 of those things away. The only thing the community truly wanted to be gone was the flashing and the damage. That's all we wanted. I didn't give a shit about the speed. I personally didn't. Now that's okay if you did. You go ahead and comment below if you wanted it. The reason I am so heavily attentive upon this is because the ultimate is at a good spot. It's so powerful against third parties. As soon as you wipe a team, you throw that fucker down. You just throw it down. You hear a pad, you hear a Valkyrie ultimate, a Gibby ultimate, Bangalore, anything. You hear an Arc Star coming your way, you throw that down, you get up against the wall, you reload, armor swap. You have literal wall hacks for 30 seconds through everything that they have to push into your building for now. He has a role. He is anti-third party Recon. If his tactical was better, people would be playing him so much in King's Canyon. It would be insanity. I have a couple of clips that we could go through. We'll do that after the podcast. So if you like this kind of content and you want to see why I'm talking about these things, this is for the YouTube crowd, come on down to my Twitch channel. You can actually see what we talk about live on Twitch. But the tactical, if it was able to be, because right now you're not able to really use it aggressively. You can only use it for, okay, well, we know they're in this room. Let's see how much health they have. Let's stop the res, that kind of thing. But if it could compete with an actual like on the move ability, it's so slow and so dodgeable for so little gain. But if it was faster, that little gain would make so much more sense. It would make an insane amount more sense. The passive 100% needed that nerf. 100%. They need to raise the skill ceiling of characters, which of course means that you can do much better while also raising the skill floor. Now, of course, there's 2 ways to determine a skill floor. And for this statement, we're saying you need to be this good to play the character well. Now, for a lot of players, they say the skill floor is the very worst you could do with the character, right? So the very worst you could do with the character was too good at the beginning. I think it is an explicitly important thing to understand how much a character carries someone. Like, think about Season 0 Wraith. You didn't have to think about positioning. You had a smaller hitbox than anyone by over 4 times for some reason. And you had the ability to teleport your entire team and go faster than Octane. Did that really seem fair? Does that really seem fair? No. So they balanced her out and now she's in a great spot. She's still in the meta. She's still being used, not ALGS used. But in high tier ranked gameplay, you see a crap ton of Wraiths and Octanes, playmakers. But for today, we're just focusing on Recon. And if we get past all of the recon before 4 p.m. we'll go into support as well. But let's summarize. Bloodhound, if you take out that outside the game fight, game sense, still an amazing character to have. Still an insane character to have. Wall hacks for 3 seconds on a 6-second cooldown on his ultimate. Their ultimate. It's one of those things that you have to balance each character between, especially with Recon. Now, of course, if you want to make an augment to the Recon class yourself, go ahead and list a comment down below on the YouTube video. I'm going to be looking at all these YouTube comments. I want to see your guys' thoughts. Bloodhound, I would prefer they are a much better in-game fighter. Hunter, Viking-esque. Recon, like that's what I want to see out of that character. Pathfinder, forward scout. Ziplining like crazy, using those rotations. Insanely apt in a place no human should be. Stabilizing arm, like we could just call it that. Crypto, the surveillance expert. Can't be scanned because that fits his lore. Gets the extra armor on the drone because that's what it is, you know? Sees the armor, maybe? Keeping him competitive with SEER? Valkyrie, the rotational goddess, the winged Avenger, like flying around. If you could only do that once or twice, be amazing. But if like it was even farther, even in pubs, that would be amazing. Think about it. Even in pubs, you would just be like, okay, well, we're at World's Edge. We just cleared Fragment. I'm so bored. Fly up and insanely even higher and go flying to the next fight all the way in Harvester? Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Go all the way to Siphon? Sounds pretty good. She is trying to prove to her dad that she is battle hardened. She's ready. She's a badass. She's going to the next fight. That's what Valkyrie is. Winged Avenger. SEER, ambush artist. Right now, you can't ambush shit with how slow all of his abilities are. Make it so this is either wider or faster. It needs to be one of the two. Needs to be. Could make it entirely silent. No. You finding the rats with the Heartseeker? Perfectly fine where it is. The ultimate? Maybe shave 15 seconds off the cooldown. Maybe 30 seconds was too much. With one ultimate accelerant though, still a god tier character. Still so good. Just not as good as Bloodhound. That's the problem with SEER. Trust me on that. Still so good for the team comp. Now, doesn't that seem like such a healthier alternative to where the Recon characters are at? Each character fits a unique playstyle. Crypto, of course, has to be a little stronger. And the reasoning I have for that, now, of course, the 3 passives that we said, I would only prefer the 2 non-moving ones. The shield one, honestly, letting SEER be that, so that way Crypto. But the reason we need Crypto to be a little stronger is because he's not shooting while he's using the drone. And if he's using the drone and shooting, it's defensively. It would take a really good Crypto to understand how to EMP, place the drone, everything, to see the actual efficacy out of that kit, right? It would be wonderful. It'd be so cool to see. Now, I think that's a good time to cut it off. I will open up the rest to Twitch chat to talk about any of the chats that they have. Now, of course, for anybody that's on YouTube wondering about my qualifications, we did make top 150 Predator. I have over 15,000 games and over 44 PC lobby kills. I don't respect the amount of kills that console players have, not because they're less talented, but because they're going up against less talented people. They're going up against casual gamers. So if I had to put this at a relations, I'd say about 120,000 console kills. You can argue with me in the comments if you want. I mean, that's just facts though. So then rank season 10, masters both splits just because I want to keep up that name, you know what I'm saying? We're just vibing out. And that's it for me today, guys. If you have anything you want to know about Recon classes, meta shifting, actually talking and making meaningful changes to the game that would make each character a little personal, or a little bit more personable, go ahead and visit my Twitch down below in the description. Check out Glitch Energy if you want to see more of these and have crazy thoughts with Glitch Energy. And we'll catch you on the next one, okay? Bye-bye.